Hello, everyone!
We kick things off in a state of panic as everyone seems to be running away from an attack on them. On the other hand, one man seems to be chilling as he eats an apple and comments that there's a serious scene today. We can see that the people of this world can use barriers, but it's going to take a lot more than those to stop what's going on over here. The barriers do end up breaking and a sweet little kitty cat is in danger. Luckily, the man who was farming aura with an apple comes to the rescue and uses a barrier to save the cat. It's way too big, which is not what she says often. The people of this town, though, do echo that sentiment. The only man who can do this is the court magician, and he happens to be the hero of this story. The people scold him for focusing his attention on one cat rather than all the other folks, but he asks them why they're being so salty about it. After all, his barrier is not just saving the cat, but is also saving everyone else. Our hero ends up saving the whole town from the collapsing castle, and he is helmed as a true savior. Now, we move to the future where our hero, whose name ironically happens to be Shield, has gotten engaged to a cutie pie. However, she does not look too thrilled about it. Her name is Elaine, and we see Shield asking her what's up. Elaine doesn't say anything and instead smiles cutely to tell her fiancé it's going to be a very fun day. This seems to make Shield very excited, because the fun he is imagining cannot be explained here due to the many guidelines that Comic Guzzlers religiously follows. Shield lets his intrusive thoughts take over, but that's as far as his intentions are going to go, because he's getting the Julius Caesar treatment, although without the actual stabbing. Our hero is surrounded by guards and is banished from the country due to some suspicions of him planning a coup. Shield can't believe this and claims his innocence, but there seems to be some kind of evidence that was found in his house. Our hero does not know anything about the papers that are presented, but then Elaine says she is sorry for what she has done. It looks like Elaine had entered Shield's room without his permission, and she claims she did this because she was worried about what he was planning. However, from the evil look on her face, it's safe to say that Elaine played Shield and has sabotaged him by planting fake papers. Bro realizes that he has been set up, but it's too late to save his face now. We learn that Shield's magical barrier ended up keeping the country safe from monsters and invasions for a while. But now, he is being banished as if everyone just forgot about his efforts. Shield asks if the king knows about this as well, and to his horror, the answer is yes. If the king himself is involved here, then there's not much our hero can do now. Shield tries to farm aura one last time by walking away on his own accord. He even asks if he is going to get a severance payment, but nobody is keen on doing that. Even so, Shield makes a flashy exit and bids farewell to everyone who did him dirty. As our hero gets sent away, he wonders why he has found himself in this situation. Shield did his best not to make any enemies by not getting involved in politics. He may have partied a bit too hard and rizzed up some fine ladies, but that shouldn't be enough for him to be betrayed on such a high level. When he announced his engagement to Elaine, there were some folks who looked at him with disdain, but Shield maintains that he has been wronged, and he is speaking facts. He has lived his life with effort and dedication, so he doesn't deserve this punishment. We learn that as a kid, Shield realized that he could only use barrier magic, so he kept honing it to get to this level, even though he'd get made fun of for not having any cool attack powers. It was because of these efforts that our hero became the most powerful barrier mage in the whole country. Now, Shield lets us in on a secret, as he reveals the barrier he placed on the country is not permanent. He wonders if the country has a plan for when the barrier does collapse, but this is all conjecture for now. The point is that the barrier is weakening, and will probably not last for long on its own. Shield can't remember whether he told the people about the barrier dying down, but that is not even relevant at this point. We see him staring at a bunch of apples now, and he seems to have only got a little money and a gold pocket watch with him. Now, he considers his other options, and the city of Minant to the south seems to be the best choice. It's prosperous and much better than the country of northern beasts. The dragon forest in the east is also far too dangerous to cross, and the west would only lead him back to the country that betrayed him. Shield decides to go to the south, but first he has to eat. Our hero enjoys his meal a bit too much, and he wonders if being banished is even a bad thing for him. After completing his meal, he leaves the restaurant, but a group of 3 men seem to follow him from that point. Shield notices this, and then he stops when he finds himself in an alley with these men. He asks them what they want from him, but it looks like they want to take his life. Shield is rather calm, and he realizes that these goons are not going to talk to him. They take their stances against him, but our hero seems to identify them. He asks if these goons are from the Knights group, and it causes them to break a sweat. Shield knows exactly what to do now, and he raises a barrier. He utilizes the barrier in a way that he destroys the weapons, and this causes the goons to use gravity magic. This doesn't seem to work on Shield, who is farming a lot more aura now as compared to when he was actually trying to be like Sung Jin Woo. Our hero uses the gravity magic for himself and reflects the force onto his attackers. The goons are on the floor, and Shield explains that even though he can only use defensive barrier magic, he can twist and turn it in ways that allowed him to rise to the royal court. The goons can't believe this because they thought Shield was just a normal barrier mage. Our hero asks these goons who it was that hired them, but they say they can't reveal this information. Shield tells them that ever since he reflected the gravity magic, he has had control over it, so it won't stop unless he decides to do so. Shield does not want to waste too much time, so he asks the leader of the Knights if there are more like him. He reveals that since he and his men have failed, there will be more who will be sent after our hero. It looks like whoever hired these Knights clearly wants to end Shield so that he can't take back his position. Shield gets it, so he stops the gravity magic, much to the surprise of the goons. Our hero doesn't care because he can always defend himself from guys like these. He knows they won't be able to harm him no matter how hard they try. This is, after all, the true power of a court mage. The goons have so much respect for Shield that they bow down to him as they leave. This gives our hero plus 1,000 aura points, and he begins to think about what else he can do. There's no way for him to secretly stay within the country, so he should go south. But he knows that his attackers might follow him there, and the same logic applies to the north too. In this case, his best option would be to go east, which is the least favored option. Of course, his attackers won't follow him there, but there will a lot of hassles on his path. Shield is angry, and he promises to get his revenge from the captain of the Order of the Knights. He does not seem to like bugs a lot, as can be seen when he frantically looks around to check if any bugs have fallen on him. Shield is relieved when he doesn't spot any bugs, but then suddenly, an insect falls on his shoulder, after which there's a whole bunch of bugs going after him. This is a nightmare for Shield, so he cries for help and runs away as far as he can. Suddenly, a massive dragon shows up, which is not good news for anyone. However, Shield seems to be relieved that it's a dragon and not another bug. He turns his back to the dragon and ignores it, but this does not go down well for the beast. The dragon tells Shield not to behave this way, but our hero is shocked that it can speak. The dragon calls out to our hero and dares him to fight, but Shield wants to know how it can speak the human language. The dragon reveals his name to be Bahamut and proudly states that he is the most powerful species in the world. He is surprised that Shield has not heard of him, but anyway, he decides to eat him up. Shield is not interested in this, so as Bahamut attacks him, he uses his barrier of reflection. The reflection hurts Bahamut and he almost falls to the ground, but manages to maintain his stance. He can't believe that someone was able to block his attack, so he flies high into the air and launches a wind attack. This is not going to work on Shield, as he uses his barrier of reflection on this too. The wind attack goes quite far into the air, impressing Shield too. Bahamut is bleeding now, and he can't believe how he is unable to break a simple barrier spell. Shield argues that if the barrier could be broken, then it would not be called one. The dragon is even more shocked that he is being outclassed by simple barrier magic. Our hero farms aura once more by striking a pose and saying that he was honing this skill for around 10 years now. He has built all his strength and powers for this very moment, but Bahamut refuses to accept that a barrier has no weakness. He decides to unleash a flame attack, and it's looking quite powerful. Shield puts his barrier up in advance because he has no idea how strong this one is going to be. Bahamut unleashes his fury, and it's a massive fire blast, but Shield is miraculously able to stop it with his reflective barrier. He can see that the beam of light has magma all over it, so he uses his powers of reflection once again. With that, he is able to turn the impact of the entire fire blast back on the dragon and fry him to a crisp. Bahamut is still under disbelief that a human was able to do this to him, that too with a simple magic barrier. Our hero only comments that even a species as strong as dragons are fragile to their own attacks. Either way, the impact of the fire blast has carved a new way out for Shield, so he decides to follow it. As he walks by the residue left behind by the fire blast, he comments that the site is more like a natural disaster than simple magic. He notices a pile of solid magma and wonders what it could be, and then he sees someone stepping out from it. It's actually a cute girl, and she seems to be the dragon in human form. She likes Shield because he has a lot of power, but we don't know if the dragon is actually male or female. Shield wants to know who she is, but she says she is Bahamut in his human form. She says that she has done this after being defeated by her own flames, but Shield covers his eyes because the female form can awaken all kinds of intrusive thoughts. He asks Bahamut to act like a lady now that he has taken the form of one, so he does exactly that by creating an outfit with magic. For convenience purposes, we shall now refer to Bahamut as a girl, because that is what he looks like now. Shield still feels that Bahamut is wearing too little clothing, but she says he has to make do with what she has. Bahamut says that this was the first time she was unable to eat a human, so she will accompany him as he looks like a lot of fun. Shield asks her if she knows the way out, to which she says yes. This is good news for our hero because he was getting bored, and now he has a dragon girl for company. Bahamut tells Shield to go ahead because she needs to prepare something, but this was just a ploy from her end to trick our hero. She attacks him from behind and calls him out for trusting her too easily. However, the dragon girl is unable to harm Shield because he has an invisible barrier around him at all times. He lets her know this, and then he uses the power of reflection to smack her away. Now that Bahamut has no other option, she follows Shield like a good girl and offers him directions out of the forest. He veers away from her instructions, so she calls him out on it. He tells her that she should lead the way because there is no point for her to follow him from behind. As he has just shown her, attacking him from behind is not going to accomplish anything at all. He then asks if they have reached the town yet, to which she says no. This is not good because Shield does not have a lot of supplies left. This is mainly because of Bahamut herself, who has eaten a huge chunk of his supplies. She argues that she only ate them out of novelty because she actually craves human blood. Having said that, she is drooling over the prospect of more food, so Shield tells her to calm down. Now, Shield tells Bahamut that her name is too long for him to remember, so there has to be some other option. She reveals that centuries ago, some people called her Fae, so Shield says he will refer to her by the same name. As they continue on their way, our hero is surprised that there are no other dragons or minions attacking them. This is mostly because of Faye's presence, as she is the strongest dragon in the area. Shield is glad that she is being of some use to him, but there are awkward positions too, such as when our hero has to answer nature's call and she just stares at him like a total creep. The journey continues, and then the couple seems to have spotted a city. This is true, as Shield has reached the city of Gain. There are happy people all around the town, which means all the rumors of it being prosperous were all true. Faye only wants to be fed, but Shield has already pictured living the comfortable life of an adventurer over here. He is quite happy that he will live his new life here, but then we move forward to another scene where he doesn't look so joyous. This is because he tried to hit a slime monster, but couldn't even scratch it. He was just able to hurt it enough to make it want to run away, so Faye mocks him for being weak. Of course, she doesn't get how he beat her if he has no strength. But our hero openly says that his only skill is barrier magic. He tells Faye to get rid of the monsters because she is a strong dragon, but she says that there is no point for her to even try because they will just run away when they see her. She mocks our hero some more, and even though it's a bit too savage, she's kinda spitting facts. Shield can't harm even the weakest of monsters, and he can't use Faye as his battle slave, so his new life is pretty much ruined. At that very moment, an idea strikes him regarding his precious compass, and he decides to use it while he still can. Now, we see Shield and Faye being welcomed by an old man whose name is Count Albert. Shield has come here as a private tutor to teach Albert's daughter, so he can at least earn some money. Albert says they should have dinner first, and Shield agrees with a polite tone. Faye is surprised to see this, but sometimes you've gotta do what you've gotta do. Shield tells us that Albert's daughter is supposed to be some kind of prodigy mage, which makes him not that useful, but then again, he is the only one who can use such powerful barrier magic. Having said that, Shield will not be able to do much if she asks him to teach her other kinds of spells. Faye is only interested in one thing, and that is the dinner table in front of them. Albert invites the duo to enjoy a nice meal, and our hero loses all sense of consciousness. He tells Faye to eat as much as she can, to which she says of course, and is glad that following him has paid off for her. What follows is a rather ugly sight of Shield and Faye eating like literal animals. The dragon girl makes sense, but Shield used to be royalty, so his hunger really must have taken over him. Even Albert comments that this is not a treat to the eyes, and starts asking about his daughter. Shield says he'll deal with her, but he needs more food now. After all, he's starving, so it's not like he can afford to think about manners. Suddenly, our hero senses someone's presence, and it happens to be Albert's daughter looking at him and Faye. There's a lot of magic power emanating from her, and it makes our hero worried. If this is actually the Count's daughter, then he won't have anything to teach her because of such high mana. This is not looking good for Shield, so he has to continue eating as much as he can before he gets fired by Albert. Now that the meal is done, it's time to talk about the daughter, but Shield can only picture himself getting fired. Albert's daughter's name is revealed to be Amelia, and she is told that Shield and Faye are going to be her new private tutors. Albert states that this is a good thing because the both of them were court wizards from Helena, although the dragon girl's background is clearly a lie. Albert continues to tell Amelia how great it is for her to learn from such experts, but Shield is worried that this will become a huge disappointment. Suddenly, Amelia cheers up and sweet-talks her dad, surprising even him. Anyway, Albert tells her to be good to her tutors and goes off on his way. Now, Shield tries to make an acquaintance with Amelia, but she turns around and asks him to tell the truth about himself. She says that if Shield is honest, then she will not make any problems for him. This is quite literally like the Gus Fring meme, so our hero gets a little scared. Faye still seems chill about the whole thing, but Shield explains that they are actually court wizards from Helena. Amelia believes that the pocket watch in his hand is genuine, but she suspects that he may have either found it or bought it from somewhere. Amelia now starts farming aura of her own and says that her father is a good man, so he will only blame himself if he finds out he has been deceived. She genuinely wants to know the truth about S.H.I.E.L.D., so our hero figures he might as well give it to her. He tells her about the barrier surrounding Helena, and Amelia says that this is a very popular barrier. As a matter of fact, the whole continent knows about it, and this makes S.H.I.E.L.D. a bit embarrassed. Amelia asks why he is so embarrassed, and that's when S.H.I.E.L.D. reveals that he's the one who created it. Naturally, Amelia is shocked to hear this. She breaks her teacup and tells S.H.I.E.L.D. that the 10 court wizards of Helena are the highest-ranking mages in that nation, which consists of 10 million inhabitants. She then tells our hero not to use such a title so lightly here, because these are mages she severely admires. She even dares him to say this again, as she will make him feel the weight of what he is saying. After all, Amelia too wants to be a court mage, so she does not wish to waste her time with fakes like S.H.I.E.L.D. Our hero knows that the Count's daughter is radiating a ton of magical energy, which is similar to that of a court mage. However, he maintains that he is actually one of those 10 wizards. Amelia refuses to believe this because a court mage would never be in a position where he would have to eat like a pig to make up for all the earlier starvation. S.H.I.E.L.D. then explains that he was expelled for making the very same barrier that made him famous. He puts it down to politics, but Amelia says that no country would ever expel a hero, especially one who saved it from certain doom. S.H.I.E.L.D. says that he is speaking the truth, but Amelia has no interest in talking to him. She wants him to get out, but he says he can't do that because he needs the work. S.H.I.E.L.D. asks Faye to say something, but she has no interest in talking to such a grumpy girl. Our hero can't believe the dragon girl is doing this, that too right after a heavy meal. Amelia says that she will not take S.H.I.E.L.D.'s lessons, but she will allow him to stay and remain silent in a corner. This is not ideal, but at least S.H.I.E.L.D. is not out of a job yet. Now, we move to a training zone where there is a dummy placed in front of Amelia. She harnesses her powers, and S.H.I.E.L.D. notices that she can use fire, water, and wind magic too. Now, Amelia activates her offensive magic and launches an attack on her target. She is able to identify a specific spot on the dummy and destroys it at will. This kind of control and variety is comparable to that of the highest-ranking mage, so S.H.I.E.L.D. wonders how Amelia is going to turn out. She feels that she still needs a little more practice though. S.H.I.E.L.D. applauds her, but she has no interest in his words. He still states that the dummies are worn out because she has been practicing with them for a while. He is impressed, but still feels that Amelia does not have any battle combat experience yet. He offers to train with her, but she doesn't think a fraud will be able to stand up to her. The other tutors would have run away by now, but a true man of culture stands his ground. S.H.I.E.L.D. now activates Aura Mode and says that he will show Amelia what it's like to be a real court mage. Amelia says that she has used up all her magic on this one blow, so she will use hand-to-hand combat on S.H.I.E.L.D. so as not to take his life. This is surprising to S.H.I.E.L.D., but Amelia says that it's only normal for court mages to be trained in some kind of martial arts. S.H.I.E.L.D. asks Faye to step in for him, but she says that the food here is really good, so she doesn't want to mess that up by ending Amelia accidentally. She taunts our hero by saying he better not lose to a little girl, but S.H.I.E.L.D. knows he can't really fight at all. He assumes his pose and Amelia sets off. S.H.I.E.L.D. feels like he can keep up with her speed, but before he even knows it, she lands a kick to his neck. Nothing happens to him, of course, because he has that invisible barrier around him. This shocks Amelia because she's never seen such a strong opponent before. The impact is so strong that the Count's daughter injures her own leg in the process. S.H.I.E.L.D. explains his invisible barrier, and Amelia comments that he is actually quite tough. It's nothing for S.H.I.E.L.D., as he doesn't even need to put in a lot of effort. But Amelia wants more, so she goes for a powerful punch. It looks like she's aiming for the face, so S.H.I.E.L.D. covers it, but that's exactly what Amelia wanted him to think. She uses a feint attack which surprises Shield, but does not change the result because his barrier is on all the time. Emilia ends up injuring her own wrist in the process, so Shield takes this chance to flex on her. He says she can try all she wants, but the outcome is going to be the same. Emilia asks him if he eats iron every day, but Shield says that he has one, so it's not like anyone can fire him now. Emilia doesn't like this, but she has to give credit where it's due, so she'll let our hero stay a little longer. After all, if he is this tough, then there's no way for her spells to affect him. Shield celebrates with Faye because now they have free food and lodging. He then tells Emilia that he is going to be a good tutor to her, but she tells him to keep quiet because she is sure to find a way to get rid of him. Of course, we all know that's not going to happen to the main character. Shield is not worried about such statements because to him, the main thing is that he can eat to his heart's content tonight as well. Later, Shield is shocked to learn that Emilia is sick, but he does not believe it. After all, she could be trying to trap him just like Elaine had done earlier. Our hero barges into her room and is surprised to see that Emilia is actually not too well. The Count's daughter seems to have a high fever, so Shield wonders if it's because of the internal bleeding caused from her earlier injury. He will try to heal Emilia, but the maid is not sure if that is a good idea. Shield tells her to chill out because he is a court mage from Helena, so she does as he says. Faye also shows up and asks if Shield needs any help, but he says he'll be fine because he is Emilia's tutor. Our hero goes on to cast a spell, but is it possible for him to use healing magic? It looks like Shield's tactic has worked, because we instantly shift to seeing Emilia walking towards him and Faye. She notices the both of them eating like hogs, but that's not her concern. She wants to see our hero's face, and he is glad to see that she has recovered from her injuries. Emilia was told that Shield healed her, which means he does have another trick up his sleeve, apart from barriers. The healing was quite good, so Emilia doesn't consider Shield to be a fraud. However, she does not think he is sincere either, so his court mage claim is not something she still believes. She wants to give him a chance with her magic, and she wants to have a go right now, but our hero hasn't had the chance to enjoy his food yet. Anyway, he is taken to the training zone where he is to duel with Emilia. She says that the only rule is for them to continue with the duel until one of them surrenders. Apart from that, anything is allowed, and this actually excited Shield, whereas most others would have a different reaction. He wants to teach Emilia everything that he has learned, but she clearly seems to have violence in her mind. She pulls out what looks like a basic fire arrow, so Shield mocks her for underestimating him. However, within the blink of an eye, he sees that she has summoned dozens of fire arrows. Emilia asks if Shield will be able to take on so many attacks on the go, and he is impressed that she was able to summon so many arrows in less than 3 seconds, which is the kind of timing some men would probably keep up with in the bedroom. Anyway, Shield decides to get a little serious, but he still makes sure that he won't hurt Emilia in the process. The Count's daughter fires her arrows at the same time, and Shield unleashes his barrier. He doesn't use the reflective one, but instead brings out the magic absorption barrier so that things can remain safe. Emilia is shocked to see all her arrows getting absorbed in seconds, but she is not going to stand down. She unleashes a massive blast of energy on Shield, but he casually absorbs it with just one hand. Emilia is losing her head, so she unleashes yet another attack at full power, and while it might be dangerous to others, Shield once again absorbs it with just one hand. He taunts Emilia as well by saying this wouldn't have been a bad move if she would have hit her target. He thanks her for giving him all that magic power, and then asks what she plans to do next. Emilia now summons rain, and it becomes cold for Shield. This is a nuisance for him, so he asks why she is using such a technique. That's when she unleashes ice magic to try and freeze our hero. Shield is impressed, but not taken aback, so Emilia unleashes an ice break attack on him too. She is frustrated that Shield is just not giving up, but this is not even a challenge for him. S.H.I.E.L.D. does tell Amelia that she's amazing and also a genius for having so much creativity. However, his barrier is very versatile, and it blocks everything that Amelia throws at him. Amelia is so annoyed that she tells S.H.I.E.L.D. that he's using a cheat code with his barrier. He doesn't care for spoilt sports, so he simply asks Amelia what her next move is going to be. The Count's daughter is almost out of magic power, and she clings on to her dummy for support. She shouts at S.H.I.E.L.D. because she wants to know what kind of magic he's using. He simply says that he almost lost his mind a while ago because of Amelia's skills. He then says that he's willing to explain his powers to her if she agrees to call him sensei. Amelia's pride is hurt, but our hero is much more powerful than her, so she does call him sensei. She then asks about his powers, but S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to hear it again. Amelia is losing her patience, so S.H.I.E.L.D. figures he better not push her buttons. He then reveals that the only magic he can use is basic barrier magic. This is a shocker to Amelia, but S.H.I.E.L.D. proves it by making a massive barrier so casually. He states that it was because he practiced this magic so many times, he was able to become a court mage. Amelia takes a moment to take this in, and that's when she realizes with whom she is actually speaking. It is indeed the legendary S.H.I.E.L.D. Raylis, who is the most powerful barrier user in the continent. It was at this very moment that she knew she messed up. She still can't believe that such an iconic hero would get banished by his own city. But it is indeed true, because his powers are real. Once again, Amelia asks our hero if he really is the great S.H.I.E.L.D., and he says yes. This one sentence seems to reset her hard drive, and she runs away screaming, which naturally confuses S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, we move to the dining hall where S.H.I.E.L.D. and Faye are enjoying their food. But this time, they have someone quite openly spying on them. It's none other than Amelia, who has undergone a serious personality change. Faye asks our hero if he can see it, but he says it's way too scary for him to even ignore. Amelia looks at S.H.I.E.L.D. with puppy dog eyes and confirms once again if he really is the legendary hero. S.H.I.E.L.D. says yes for the 100th time, and this causes Amelia to bow down to him in shame. She asks him why he didn't say this to her from the very beginning, because she was acting so unrefined in front of him. She apologizes and says that what he saw was not her true personality. However, just like TikTok and Instagram influencers, her true personality was shown when she did not know whom she was talking to. S.H.I.E.L.D. tells her that this current cute face she is showing is her fake persona, and he has a laugh about it. Amelia acts dramatically and says that she can't believe she acted so rudely in front of the great S.H.I.E.L.D. She has idolized him for ages and considers him to be the most respected mage in the whole of Helena. She is clearly feeling bad about her earlier attitude, so S.H.I.E.L.D. holds her and says that they should eat together. It's still awkward for the Count's daughter, but not for Faye, who is eating away as if she owns the mansion. Amelia asks S.H.I.E.L.D. what his relation is with Faye, whom she refers to as Lady. Our hero reveals that Faye is actually a dragon girl, and she ended up following him because he blocked every single attack she could throw at him. At first, Amelia laughs because she thinks this is a joke, but then she realizes that Faye might actually be a dragon. She introduces herself via her proper name of Bahamut, and even though Amelia is suspicious, she believes this because S.H.I.E.L.D. has said so. Now, Faye realizes that she has forgotten something very important, so S.H.I.E.L.D. asks her what it could be. It turns out that she is yet to decide on who will take over from her as the next leader of the Dragon Forest. This is important because if Faye does not do this, then the dragons may go crazy and invade the nearby cities. This is clearly something that should not have been forgotten so easily, but S.H.I.E.L.D. does not want to waste any further time. After all, he is the one who allowed Faye to follow him, so he will be the one to clean up the mess as well. As S.H.I.E.L.D. and Faye plan how they're going to handle the dragons, Amelia tells them that they should not take this so casually. She feels that dragons are elite beings, and any kind of small mistake could trigger a war, just like the one that happened 300 years ago, which engulfed the whole world. This sounds quite serious, but our hero and the dragon girl say it will be fine, as if they're going to catch lizards. Shield says that Amelia can do her training today with dragons, but not everyone can act like they're stronger than the donkey from Shrek. Amelia reluctantly tags along, and then we see the three of them in front of a massive dragon. Amelia is clearly shocked and afraid to see this dragon, but Shield calmly asks Faye if dragons like these kinds of encounters. She says that is not the case, and calls out to the black dragon named Nid. She tells him that she is transferring the leadership of the forest to him, and also warns him not to mess with the humans, otherwise there will be war. Nid does not look like he's in the mood to negotiate, so Faye turns into her dragon form of Bahamut. An intense encounter is to follow, so Shield figures he's better off taking Amelia away from this scene. He would have preferred to have her fight as well, but this battle is not at a human level at all. As a court mage, Shield has to keep Amelia safe, and he picks her up. Meanwhile, the two dragons have a go at each other, and it doesn't look like either one of them is slowing down. It's a fierce display of power, so Shield figures he needs to keep himself and Amelia safe from the shock waves. He activates his barrier magic, which is more than enough to impress the Count's daughter. Shield extends the barrier to cover the forest too, because the fire sparks could easily spread to the neighboring town. The battle rages on, but Shield feels that Amelia should train to be able to fight a dragon like Nid. She doesn't think she can stand a chance against such a beast, but Shield tells her he defeated Faye quite easily with his barrier. He did say this before too, but it hits Amelia now because she's actually seeing the dragons in action. Bahamut realizes there's no time to play along, so he unleashes his ultimate fire blast on Nid, and this is enough to take down the second most powerful dragon in the forest. Amelia shakes upon witnessing such power, and she believes that Bahamut could be problematic. He reverts to his female form of Faye, and then Shield asks her if she took the black dragon's life. She says that she made sure not to use too much firepower, and actually did enough to make Nid obey her commands moving forward. Amelia screams at the both of them because they are talking as if they are at the local Starbucks. Amelia goes crazy thinking about what she has just seen between two legendary dragons. There's also the fact that her idol, Shield, is here, but our hero and the dragon girl realize that a circuit has gotten fried in Amelia's head. Now, Faye tells Shield that if he uses such a big barrier to cover a whole city, then he will get dragged into politics again. He doesn't understand, but the dragon girl clarifies that this is just how humans are. The moment they see a great power, they will do whatever they can to take it away. That's real talk for sure, but Shield wants to have mercy on the city. Anyway, we now move to the mansion where our hero is having a chat with Albert, who also can't believe that Shield is actually the one who summoned such a big barrier. Normally, this would be a good thing, but then Albert says that he can't allow our hero to remain a tutor in his town any longer. This comes as a shocker to Shield, so he asks Albert why he is getting fired from his job. The Count says that Shield is a powerful magic user who is capable of altering the balance of power on the continent. If he stays here, then he could disrupt the current balance between this town and then neighboring countries too. Our hero is surprised that his presence can make such a big difference, but what Albert doesn't understand is why a place like Helena would banish the same man who made such a big barrier for them. Shield says that he doesn't know for sure, but it could be that they have found a way that makes him unnecessary there. Albert says this can't be true because the only reason for Helena to flex their authority over other countries in recent years is the barrier itself. It is not even an exaggeration to say that the course of the continent was decided by that one barrier alone. Shield is surprised to learn that he has such a high reputation in other countries, because he wasn't treated that well in his own nation. As a matter of fact, people used to give him grief for only being able to summon barriers. There were tons of folks who did not want him to become a court mage either. Albert is angered by this, and he comments that Helena never used to be so shameless when it came to treating its heroes. Anyway, the Count declares that he will be negotiating this situation with the central government because he can't handle this on his own. Of course, this is not good news for S.H.I.E.L.D. because it does not matter how much he does, he still ends up getting fired. Faye simply sits there and says, "I told you so," because there was no way politics would not get involved the moment such power became public. S.H.I.E.L.D. fires back at the Dragon Girl, because if she had been a bit gentler with the Black Dragon, then he would not have needed to use the massive barrier. She argues that if she had let her guard down, then she would have been the one who'd lose, so there was no other way. Hearing this makes Albert shake to his core, because he did hear that Bahamut and NID Hug were having a go at each other, but he never expected S.H.I.E.L.D. and Faye to be the ones fighting against the gods. Both our hero and the Dragon Girl are surprised to hear the word God, because this was not that big of a deal. S.H.I.E.L.D. then reveals that Faye is actually Bahamut, and even points out to her golden wings, which she can't keep hidden totally. He explains that she was the one who fought NID Hug and kept the city safe. Of course, Albert doesn't believe this and thinks that he is just being fed nonsense. After all, as per the lore of this country, dragons are believed to be gods, so to be told that he is standing in front of one is a bit too overwhelming. S.H.I.E.L.D. asks Faye if this is real, and she proudly says yes. Just hearing all of this is enough to make Albert sick to his stomach, so he says it's all out of his hands now. He STLLL asks S.H.I.E.L.D. if he would be willing to become his ally if he were to continue staying here. Our hero is not too sure about this because he could just be used and thrown away, exactly like what had happened in Helena. He laments the fact that he really does not have any good way to live freely. Anyway, it's time for a meal. And both S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as Faye are surprised to see an even more lavish menu in front of them. Our hero figures that this is because his true identity has been revealed to the people of this world. So he says that he won't be able to eat so much. Faye subtracts his aura some more by saying if it's him, then she's sure he'll finish whatever's on the table. As they eat their food, we can see that Amelia is looking at S.H.I.E.L.D. with not so innocent intentions. Faye can sense her intrusive thoughts and says that it looks like Amelia wishes to mate with our hero. This is wrong for a lot of reasons because we're not sure how old she is, and S.H.I.E.L.D. definitely isn't the Diddy or Drake type. He asks the Dragon Girl not to say such blunt things, but she maintains that he is a man who finds himself in a lot of troublesome scenarios. Even so, Faye likes him and wants to continue traveling with S.H.I.E.L.D. Our hero doesn't see anything good coming out of this, because Faye is the most sus girl he's ever seen in his life. Faye then says that if it ever gets too bothersome for S.H.I.E.L.D., then she'll have no problem flying away with him. There is some sincerity in what she says, so S.H.I.E.L.D. figures it's not too bad to stick with her right now. Later, Amelia guides S.H.I.E.L.D. to some place, but it seems quite suspicious, so he keeps asking her if he is going the right way. Naturally, S.H.I.E.L.D. is taken aback by this, but Meryl maintains that she has always wanted to marry the man whom even her sword could not reach. She asks S.H.I.E.L.D. once again to marry her and come to her land of beast men, but she receives a resounding no because as of now, their relationship is that of her trying to take his life. Amelia breaks this chat by saying her master only belongs to her, and she is more of his type. It looks like S.H.I.E.L.D. is never beating the lolicon accusations, but Meryl tells Amelia she will never be able to keep her master happy with her flat-screen LCD TV. The Battle of the Pillows is decided instantly with Meryl winning by a resounding margin. The cat girl then asks Faye if she too wishes to get with S.H.I.E.L.D., and she can also figure that she is not a human girl. Faye smiles and says that she only wishes to eat S.H.I.E.L.D., further confirming our hero's suspicions that the Dragon Girl has not given up on that idea yet. Faye reveals that she gains the powers of those she eats, so if she ends up eating S.H.I.E.L.D., then she will be quite literally unstoppable. Our hero figures out her ambition, but he knows that won't happen. Meryl is offended that Faye wants to eat her future husband, Faye explains that she will not get in the middle of their marriage because people's lives are too short. Instead, she will wait until Shield is old and senile, because by that time, he won't be able to use his barrier magic smartly. This will give her the chance to eat him, but until then, she will remain his friend. Meryl does not seem to have a problem with that, and the two girls even shake hands over this. Shield is upset over this, and Amelia maintains that she will not hand over her master to these beast girls. The Count's daughter says that she will bury all her rivals, and also maintains that her flat-screen TV will definitely turn into a nice, soft set of pillows one day. In the middle of all this, Shield wonders if he will ever get a say in all of this. It looks like his power of Riz has backfired on him. The drama isn't over just yet, as another voice asks to be a part of this story. She was a bit skeptical at first, when she heard that Shield was banned, but now that he is in front of her, she decides to show her curvy body to him. Faye can identify that this curvy babe can use spatial magic, which is quite impressive. She reveals her name to be Gabriel Paralai, and says that she is a rep for Minant. She has come here to invite Shield to her land, but to him, this is a case of déjà vu all over again. He apologizes to her and says that he is not going anywhere for now, but this is not going to fly with her. Gabriel does like stubborn people, but she has been given orders to bring Shield with her to Minant, and she will complete her mission. On that note, she vanishes into thin air, which surprises Shield, and the very next second, she shows up behind him. Our hero may have been caught off guard, but he does have his invisible barrier, so he is able to repel Gabriel. She is shocked because she can't see any walls or barriers, but she is not going to give up just yet. Faye can see that a big one is coming, but Meryl and Amelia figure they need to get out of here as soon as possible. It's too late for that, as Gabriel summons a giant orc monster to the city. She is ready to use force, so she commands the giant orc to attack Shield with his club. Such acts are redundant at this point, as Shield reflects the blow to break the club. Gabriel doesn't want any damage to be done to the city, so she sends the club back to another dimension, which intrigues Shield. Gabriel may not want to cause damage, but if she is up against such a tough opponent, then she will have to risk some injuries. The giant orc launches a full-power attack on the barrier and strikes it with everything he's got. Gabriel is confident that this will work, but to her surprise, the barrier's reflective power destroys the giant orc. Shield is completely unbothered to the point where he is not even paying attention to what Gabriel has to say. Gabriel needs to achieve something at least, so she asks Shield to give her company for a bit longer. She summons a mass of land, but it looks smaller than the orc monster, so Shield is not bothered. However, Gabriel reveals that this is just the tip of the iceberg. She goes on to reveal that she summoned something as big as a mountain, which is quite a ridiculous weapon to use. Shield panics and tells her not to do this, because the whole city will get destroyed by the mountain. She says that some damage can't be avoided, but our hero tells her that this will be a whole lot more than just some damage. Meryl sees that Gabriel is getting them involved too, which is a huge bother, so Faye brings out her wings to protect the others. Gabriel says that her actions only prove how desperate her people are, but Shield tells her he won't hold back this time. She's game and throws her mountain at him with full force. Our hero does his thing and activates the barrier, but Gabriel believes she has won this time. To her surprise, though, Shield is not only able to block the mountain, but also destroy it with his reflective powers. Gabriel is not ready to lose even after such a shocker, so she uses her spatial magic to try and teleport Shield to her land of Minant. Our hero isn't worried because he can repel teleportation magic too. He reflects the attack and remains unharmed, so it's time to strike one more pose and farm more aura. However, he only ended up transporting Gabriel's clothes via the teleportation, so her curvy body remains on display for everyone to see. Naturally, Shield's intrusive thoughts break free, and his nose starts to bleed. Meryl compares Gabriel's pillows to her own, but Amelia is shocked that her master does prefer his honkers to be big. Gabriel is exposed, so she asks S.H.I.E.L.D. if he intentionally only teleported her clothes away. He tells her this is not the case, but our hero has been caught lacking. There are many other people over here who can see Gabriel, so S.H.I.E.L.D. gives her his upper shirt so that she can cover herself. She teases him for a bit, but he begs her to please put on his shirt. It looks like Bro's power of Riz has struck Gabriel as well, as she playfully flirts with him now. At this point, his Riz is more powerful than his barriers. Meryl steps in and tells Gabriel that she has called shotgun on S.H.I.E.L.D. becoming her husband. Gabriel fires back by saying S.H.I.E.L.D. is not the kind of man who would like to be with violent women. That's a bit rich coming from a woman who just threw a whole mountain at a city, but then Gabriel says she is much better when it comes to performing night duties. The cat girl says that she is no stranger to shady activities either, so both the girls get into an argument. Pillows are pressed against each other as both Gabriel and Meryl ask S.H.I.E.L.D. to choose which of them he prefers. This is literally the life every man of culture wants, but S.H.I.E.L.D. is working on post-nut clarity levels of consciousness. He tells the girls that he can't look at them this way because it wasn't even an hour ago when they were trying to kidnap him by force. Meryl says that she has no other choice now but to seduce him, and Gabriel says that she will do the same. Amelia, on the other hand, is not too happy about this as she was the first one to lay claim to her master. Luckily, Faye has some sense, so she tells the girls not to be so impulsive. The Margrave is going to be coming soon with officials to this country, so it would be better for them to present their points officially then. Meryl and Gabriel are fine with this, although they clearly seem to be competing against each other now. Faye doesn't care as long as she gets to eat S.H.I.E.L.D. when he's old and senile. Our hero would like to get a word in, but before he can do that, he notices the girls looking somewhere else. He wants to know what's going on, so Faye tells him to take a look at the forest. The barrier that S.H.I.E.L.D. had created 3 years ago has finally cracked, and is now no longer protecting Helena. Faye adds that this was the only thing preventing the dragons from attacking the town. It was faster than S.H.I.E.L.D. had expected, but the others seem to be happy that the arrogant kingdom of Helena does not have any protection any longer. As multiple discussions begin regarding who is going to get S.H.I.E.L.D. now, our hero just realizes that it has been so long since he had erected the barrier. He personally thought that it would perhaps last another year or so, but that is none of his concern anymore. Now, we move forward to the official meeting where Albert decides to discuss S.H.I.E.L.D.'s fate in the future. Our hero is looking forward to how this is going to go down, as Albert presents the terms of his country Uri first. He guarantees the position of court magician for life. He will also offer S.H.I.E.L.D. 10 times the salary of the other court magicians, and he will also offer our hero the title of Count, alongside multiple lands to his name. Albert has made S.H.I.E.L.D. an offer he can't refuse, and our hero is more than happy to take it. However, the discussions are not over, as Meryl decides to present her offerings. Irias is offering S.H.I.E.L.D. the title of Duke, and a whole list of lands that amount to 1/10 of the size of a whole country. At this rate, S.H.I.E.L.D. will be like the king of a small country by himself, and he sees this as a great offer. However, Gabriel is still left, so she presents the offer made by the people of Minant. They are offering the title of Duke, a similar amount of land, and even the sea. Gabriel feels it should be rewarding for our hero to join her country, and this is good enough for him to say yes, but this isn't all from Gabriel. She is willing to offer territories from her own country to Uri and Irias as well if they concede S.H.I.E.L.D. to her. This is an offer that even the Godfather himself would not be able to match, so both Albert and Meryl ask S.H.I.E.L.D. to go over to Minant. Our hero does not like how easily these two have folded, but it's not like he's in a bad position. Meanwhile, in Helena, people are wondering why the barrier was destroyed. The king is greeted by the captain of the Order of the Knights, Karasaris. It looks like the ruler was not involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. getting banished earlier, like was told to him back then. This is because he asks Karasaris why our hero has not repaired the barrier when it has already been half a day since it broke down. Karasaris lies to the king and tells him that he has been missing for about 3 weeks. He then asks the king to put him in charge of the entire search for S.H.I.E.L.D. because he can't afford to get exposed by others. The king agrees to this because he believes that Karasaris can get the job done. The leader of the knights is happy to gain the king's trust. But the ruler is surprised that Elaine did not share this with him when S.H.I.E.L.D. went missing. This means that Elaine is the king's daughter, so the plot thickens. Karasaris is dismissed, but he is clearly going to try something shady. Later, he argues with Elaine because she was the one who came up with this absurd plan to banish our hero. She acts calm and says that it's too late to worry about that, because of course, she does not know the meaning of the word accountability. Elaine claims that she had no idea the barrier would collapse, which means there is no alternative set in place for S.H.I.E.L.D. If this is the case, then it's actually one of the dumbest plans we have ever seen here on Comic Guzzlers. Elaine basically did all of this so that she could marry the crown prince instead of S.H.I.E.L.D., but a woman as dumb as her shouldn't be royalty in any case. She does tell Karasaris that he is an accomplice in all of this, so it's not like he can escape the situation either. The knight leader is upset and lashes out at Elaine because she had promised to make him the prime minister for life if she would become queen. Elaine does not want to argue with logic, so she starts to put on a sob show and says that she only wanted to marry her beloved prince. Karasara figures there is no point in trying to argue with a Dumbo, so he has to keep the truth hidden at all costs. The first plan of action is to silence all the witnesses of the engagement disaster with money. Karasaris decides he will be the one to bring back S.H.I.E.L.D., and he will torture him as much as possible to make him put the barrier up again. This is a dumb statement because our hero is literally immune to everything. Anyway, Elaine leaves it all on the knight leader and exits the room, but Karasaris is quite angry that he has to go and get S.H.I.E.L.D. again. Now, we move back to the main official discussion where everyone seems to be in high spirits. S.H.I.E.L.D. says that he is quite happy with what Minant has offered him, but even so, he refuses to go anywhere. He is content with finding a job that pays well with maybe a few strings attached. This is not at all what anyone would have expected to hear, but at least S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to maintain his independence. Gabriel doesn't think there is any such job out there for our hero, and says that other countries will definitely try to get access to his barrier powers. S.H.I.E.L.D. does agree that there is no easy job out there for him, so Gabriel uses her big brain energy to suggest an alternative solution. She will give S.H.I.E.L.D. the land of Mirai, which is to the east of Minant. S.H.I.E.L.D. has already refused this, but Gabriel clarifies that in this case, she wants him to make Mirai an independent territory under his control. This is almost like he is going to become a king, to which Gabriel says that his land will be completely independent of Minant. In exchange for this, she just wants our hero to put up barriers in the cities near the Dragon Forest. This is great because Meryl and Albert agree with this logic because the other countries would feel at ease being safe from the threat of dragons. After all, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s power is way too great to belong to just one nation. By simply having a barrier at these cities, their defenses will be a lot higher than they can ever be. Meryl is happy with Gabriel's thinking, so she compliments her, and the two babes seem to get along with each other now. S.H.I.E.L.D. is also fine with this because he has heard that Mirai is a land blessed with tons of resources. With that, contracts get signed and champagne bottles are opened to celebrate a successful meeting. Meryl, Gabriel, Albert, and S.H.I.E.L.D. all raise a toast to a fruitful future ahead. As per the contract, our hero first has to go to the Beast Men land of Arias and make a barrier there. Next up is Minant, and a couple of other cities which S.H.I.E.L.D. is able to finish off quite soon. He is all done with his duties, but Faye is surprised that it hasn't even taken him a day to get this done. He tells her that if he wanted, he could have done all of this within an hour, but he wants to at least show that he is putting in an effort. Gabriel thanks our hero for his efforts as his powers are quite impressive indeed. Shield asks her if he can move freely around Minant because he would like to explore the country slowly before he reaches Mirai. She hands him a permit to pass all the checkpoints, and she gives him a bracelet made of a ruby magic stone. It will certify Shield as the lord of his domain, and he is thankful to her for it. Gabriel would prefer it if he showed his appreciation by getting married to her, but Amelia wants him to stay with her as her husband. Meryl also wants to get married to our hero, so his Rizzed skills have come back to haunt him yet again. Shield does not want so much drama because he doesn't want to lose his land in the divorce. He bids farewell to all the thirsty girls and leaves with Faye, who at least only wants to eat him when he is old. A few days pass by, and then Faye asks our hero how much money Gabriel gave them when they left. Shield reveals she had given him a whopping 10,000 gold coins, which is enough to travel like a boss for 10 days. However, Faye points out that they have already almost spent it all in just 3 days. It's a fair question, but she seems to have forgotten that she eats as much as 10 people. Shield worries that if this keeps up, they won't be able to make it to their destination, but the dragon girl tells him to start working and earning. Our hero asks her why she isn't working too, but she says she does not need to do such a thing. After all, if Shield starves to death, then she will just eat him and get his powers. Shield curses himself for forgetting Faye's true intentions. If he has to earn some cash, then he will need to do something out of the blue. An idea strikes his mind, but Faye tells him not to do something illegal. Shield is not the type to make such a mistake, as he decides to join the Adventurers Guild to pick up some work. Faye takes a look at all the men here and comments that they are all weak. Shield tells her not to speak so loudly because it can cause problems for them. Now, our hero goes to the receptionist girl, who is dressed in a cute nurse costume. Shield tells her that he wants to register with the guild and take on a quest, but the nurse girl looks at him with doubt. She even hides a rude face, but Shield can see that she is thinking of him as a weakling. The nurse girl says that is not the case, but when she fills the form, she learns that Shield has no previous experience as an adventurer, and there is no one who can vouch for his abilities either. With this information, Shield can only be an E-rank adventurer, and not the Sung Jin-woo type. Shield is given some E-rank quests, but he wants to take on stronger monsters. He is E-rank, so the nurse girl will not help him out over here. Shield once again says that he won't be able to earn any money, but the nurse girl maintains that he is E-rank, while also showing a rather annoying smile. This sucks for our hero because Faye's appetite is not going to die down anytime soon. At this moment, someone walks in asking if Shield needs any help. The nurse girl seems to be in love with this man, so Shield asks him who he is. The nurse girl refers to this man as Isekai'd, who seems to be some big-shot adventurer. The nurse girl tells him that Shield wants to take on more dangerous missions despite being E-rank. Our hero is ready to do it at his own risk, but then Isekai'd offers to show him the world of high-ranking adventurers. Isekai'd is the top B-rank adventurer of this city, and the nurse girl is amazed to see how he is willing to help out the rookie. Isekai'd still thinks that Shield will be a worthy addition, but Shield tries to insult him, although he calls him tall and handsome. Faye doesn't get how this is an insult, but Isekai'd anyways says that he is ready to split the reward with Shield. This works for him because it's just the two of them over here, and he feels Isekai'd is a fool for offering such a high share of the prize. He suggests taking on the Jinga Turtle Forest. Shield doesn't know what that is, but he's game for it. Now, we see the squad at the dungeon, and Isekai'd tells our hero to be careful. There might be a lot of weak monsters in the dungeon, but the Jinga Turtle is an A-rank beast who has a shell resistant to both physical and magical attacks. Isekai'd adds that the Jinga Turtle might retreat into its shell when threatened, so that will make the task even tougher. Shield only cares about how Faye found something to eat in this dungeon. Of course, he's also paying attention to what Isis is saying, but it will be tough for him to use his barrier if the Jinga turtle retreats into its shell. Our hero does not understand why he is on a quest where the monster hides instead of attacks. It goes against his style, but then Isis notices that he is looking a bit pale. He asks Shield not to back out on him right now, but he says that this is going to be easy for him, so he isn't scared at all. The problem as of now is that there are no monsters around at all. This is because Faye is with them, meaning the weaker monsters will hide from her. Of course, Isis does not know this, so Shield just changes the topic. Isis asks the two which of them takes the vanguard and which one takes the rear guard, but neither one of them are familiar with the concept. Isis can't believe how inexperienced these two are, but he has no idea who he is chilling with right now. He believes it's always better to assign roles for survival, but he feels he will be enough to take down the Jinga turtle. He just needs Shield to keep himself safe for now. He even tells our hero to hide behind him and not to do anything reckless, leading Shield to believe that Isis might actually be a good guy. Faye suddenly notices the monster in front of them, and the Jinga turtle does look like an absolute unit. It's quite massive too, so Isis tells the others to stay behind him, and then he charges straight at the turtle. Shield doesn't think this is a good idea, but Isis believes he can take down the beast with just one blow before it hides in its shell. The plan sounds good in theory, but Isis is not able to land even a scratch on the Jinga turtle. The beast hides into its shell, but Isis says this is cheating. What's more is that Shield can't use his barrier magic either. Isis continues attacking the Jinga turtle, but his efforts are not doing any damage. At this rate, his sword will break down before the shell can even be scratched. Shield can't have that happening, so he decides to give Isis a bit of a buff. He uses his barrier magic to enhance Isis' sword, and this definitely makes a difference. Shield reassures Isis that he will not try anything silly, but in his mind, he knows that these weak attacks won't work over the course of the battle. He then decides to boost the sword's hardness with his barrier magic, and this does help Isis. He feels his own attacks have grown stronger randomly, but he needs to act fast, so he continues landing blows on the beast. Now that he's dealing damage, Isis tries to cut open the shell in half. However, the Jinga turtle gets out of its shell and looks very angry right now. The beast starts spinning its shell and charges at Isis with full speed. This is an odd tactic that has not been seen before, but Shield needs to put a barrier around Isis before it's too late. Unfortunately, he's not quick enough to cover Isis' full body, and the B-rank hunter does get hit. Luckily, enough of Isis was covered to keep him alive, but now Shield has to deal with the Jinga turtle. It's out of its shell now, but our hero can only use his barrier magic on it. Isis regains his consciousness, but does not understand how he was able to block such a big attack. Anyway, he realizes that the Jinga turtle has been ranked incorrectly. It is not an A-rank beast, but rather an S-rank monster. He is clearly no match for it, but there's no reason to fear as long as Shield is here. The Jinga turtle is now in an aggressive mood, so it attacks Isis, but we all can see that he is at his limit. Shield needs to create a distraction, so he whistles at the monster to try and get it over to him. Isis scolds Shield because he had told him to hide, but there is no time for second-guessing now. The monster seems to be even faster than before, so things could get tricky. Even our hero admits that it's a bit too fast for him, so he's counting on some perfect timing to make his move. Isis has no idea what Shield has in mind right now, so he tries to warn him, but it's too late. A huge splatter of blood is seen, and we don't know what's going on. Even Faye is not giving anything away from the look on her face. There is something on the ground that looks like a corpse, but we can't see what it is. Is this truly the end for our hero? Psych! There's no way the main character is going to die in the 6th chapter of the story. Also, This is not solo leveling, so you don't have to worry about crazy cliffhangers. Anyway, Ises is shocked to see that the head of the Jenga turtle is lying in front of him. He then sees Shield, who is stretching his shoulder muscles and lamenting how troublesome this monster was. Ises asks Shield what he just did, so he says he raised a barrier. Ises can't believe that this was done with such simple magic. But Faye has other things to look at. She wants to eat bits of the shell, but Shield does not want her to do this. Ises doesn't think a little girl can eat the shell of such a powerful monster, but he does not know that she is a dragon. Faye eats a piece of the shell quite easily, which shocks Ises, but Shield is upset because he will not be able to sell off that one piece for extra cash. Since Faye can gain the abilities of what she eats, she is now able to harden her wings. Seeing this is quite the revelation for Ises, but Faye is quite pleased by how strong her defenses have become now. Shield tells her that she looks ridiculous like this, so she should hide her appearance like this. Faye agrees and says she will only bring out the hardened wings when it is needed. Shield can at least sell the rest of the Jenga turtle, and he turns to Ises, but it looks like he has already fainted. Problems are definitely increasing for our hero. Clearly, this has been a bit too much for Ises to take in, especially a dragon girl along with an ultimate barrier boy. Now, we move to Shield putting in all the collected items in his storage bag, and he is glad that he can travel with Faye without worries for a while. On the other hand, Ises is still trying to come to terms with the fact that he was on an adventure with the legendary Shield hero. Shield asks Ises if it is really all right for him to take all the winnings of the quest, but he says that it's only the right thing to do, as our hero did most of the work. Now, Shield asks Ises to come with him to Mirai because it would be handy to have a skilled fighter like him around. However, he says that this would not be ideal for the city, as he is the best adventurer they have. Since he needs to be here to keep the city safe, Ises can't come along, so Shield hopes to see him again sometime later. They bid farewell, and even Faye says that Ises is a good man. This is why our hero has left him a little gift in the form of an invisible barrier to keep him safe. Bro really is the most valuable player. Some more time passes by, but eventually, both Shield and Faye are able to reach the city of Mirai before starving to death. The dragon girl mocks our hero by asking if he has holes in his pocket because his money seems to disappear a bit too quickly. Of course, Shield fires back at her because she is a really fancy girl who wishes to go to all the expensive places. Faye complains that the city is quite empty, but Shield tells her not to change the subject. At that very moment, a bunch of men show up and start calling our hero a priest. He does not understand the meaning of this, but it looks like these men have got the wrong person. They also seem to be frustrated waiting for the priest to arrive, but then Shield tells them he can be of use. After all, if he helps them, then he can get some food, thus establishing his heavy plot armor. Now, Shield is given a brief on the city's situation and learns that there is a curse on it. One of the men tells him that the people of this city have been falling sick way too often, and this was why they have been anxiously waiting for a priest to show up. Shield says that he will put an end to this, but Faye mocks him by saying barriers don't end curses. Our hero snaps at the dragon girl and tells her there is no other way to deal with it for now. Plus, he really needs to get some food before he starves again. Faye simply says that's fine for her, because she can just eat him up when he's weakened. The city's people are not sure if they should be relying on this couple, but they don't really have much of an option left, so they ask Shield to end this suffering for them. On that note, Shield leaves the city to deal with the situation. He has tons of energy but no direction at all, so he's basically winging it. Faye doesn't even know if the curse is real, but Shield asks her if she genuinely knows anything about a curse that would make people fall ill. The dragon girl only gives him an attitude and says that she doesn't know of any curses that aren't even strong enough to take human lives. Having said that, she can sense some kind of nostalgic scent coming from up ahead, so the couple heads in that direction. The dragon girl still can't put a name to this smell, but she is familiar with it. Now, they arrive at the spot, and even S.H.I.E.L.D. can sense a strong magical energy. Our hero is shocked to see a red lake in front of him, which is pretty bad news. Suddenly, Faye starts talking to the lake, which confuses S.H.I.E.L.D., but the dragon girl says that she has finally found a certain someone. That's when we see that beneath the lake, there is a scary demon named Azazel. He used to be Faye's right-hand man in the war between the gods and the humans. S.H.I.E.L.D. figures that if he is her right hand, then he must be pretty strong himself. Suddenly, Faye decides to release the seal holding Azazel inside the lake, but S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't think this is a good idea. We can see the seals breaking, which means that Azazel is now free. Faye also says that she has cracked the code on the curse in the city. Basically, there were some cracks in the seal, which allowed some of Azazel's dark magic to flow out into the city and affect its people. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not exactly happy to see this because the mission is a lot more complicated now than it was before. Now, the demon Azazel rises out of the lake and presents himself like a true aura farmer. He bows down to Faye and calls her his lord because he is actually a male in his true form. Azazel also says that it has been 300 years since he last saw Faye, which is a heck of a long time. The dragon girl tells Azazel that he is still as formal as ever, so he apologizes for being sealed away by puny humans. He is ready for any punishment, but Faye says there is no need for that. Azazel appreciates her mercy, but he also wishes to know why there is a human by her side. He looks at S.H.I.E.L.D. with a lot of contempt, so it is definitely an awkward situation for our hero. He even says that he wishes to take the life of this puny human, but he clearly has no idea that he is dealing with a Giga Chad. To spare him the embarrassment, Faye tells Azazel that the war against humans ended a long time ago and they lost. Azazel is not one to be slowed down so easily, as he says that they will just need to fight again, and he can declare war by taking the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He says that he has become even stronger than what he already was, and Faye can sense that her little assistant has now learned corruption magic. Azazel says that he learned this trick during the 300 years that he was sealed, and he is confident that our hero will not be able to handle it. The dragon girl admits that corruption magic is amazing, and even the strongest of humans would have a hard time analyzing or countering it. Azazel says that if the hero who defeated her would appear again, then he'll use corruption magic to take care of him. S.H.I.E.L.D. is confused by this, so he asks if this is the hero from the War of the Gods 300 years ago. Faye thinks for a bit and tells her demon boy that there are beings in this world right now that are a lot worse than heroes. Azazel can't believe that they won't be able to handle them even with his new corruption magic. Faye doesn't think so, but she would like her demon boy to try it out. He asks where he can find such a powerful being. So the dragon girl casually points at S.H.I.E.L.D. and says he should be Azazel's target. Naturally, this is a funny situation, but Azazel can't believe that our hero can be so strong. Faye makes an evil smile and says that if her demon boy is able to take care of S.H.I.E.L.D., then she can reconsider starting another war with the humans. Now, S.H.I.E.L.D. is not on board with this at all, but Azazel looks at it as just another assassination. Our hero looks worried, although he really shouldn't be, considering he's beaten Faye with such ease. Anyway, the demon boy unleashes his corruption magic on S.H.I.E.L.D., and a massive flash of light follows. It's a rather impressive display, leading Faye to wonder if this power can corrupt everything around it too. After the explosion, Azazel says that it was easy for him to pull it off, but Faye tells him not to get too confident just yet. He doesn't understand why his master is telling him this, but when he looks back, he notices that S.H.I.E.L.D. is completely unscathed, although he did fall into a massive pit. He comments on how scary this whole thing was, but his barriers are still the real deal. Azazel is so shocked that he wonders if he has not fully recovered yet. Anyway, he figures his best bet would be to attack S.H.I.E.L.D. directly and cause some serious damage. He summons tons of rubble and forms them into sharp weapons that he then launches onto Shield, who is really just getting tired of this stuff. Now that he is done with attacking our hero, Azazel asks Faye when they should start with their new invasion. However, he is shocked once again to see that nothing has happened to Shield. He scolds Azazel, telling him that he should at least give him some time for a break. But the demon boy figures he should just attack Shield directly. He even has the audacity to say that he didn't want to touch humans because they're so filthy, but he doesn't really have a choice now, does he? With that, Azazel vanishes in a second, and Shield is impressed by his speed. He wonders where the demon boy has gone, but he worries that he has never faced corruption magic before, so he does not know how to counter it. He can't even sense Azazel's presence, so it's almost as if he's fighting a scary ghost. Suddenly, Azazel appears out of nowhere and surprises Shield with his speed. His demon face is a bit too scary, as he says goodbye to our hero and unleashes his powers. This is probably the first time that Shield is thinking that he might just lose his life here, as his barrier may not have been activated. Of course, this was just a bluff, and our hero says psych by activating his barrier magic reflection. Azazel can't believe what he is seeing, as his arm gets destroyed by the barrier in a matter of less than a second. The demon boy retreats and is very confused because it's a simple barrier spell, but it was still able to destroy his arm. That's when Faye tells him that Shield's barrier magic is so strong that it can repel any kind of attack. Our hero tries to flex by saying his analysis would not have changed anything, as his barrier will always reign supreme. However, Azazel uses decoy magic to trick Shield and unleash a sneak attack on him. He is able to regrow his arm and he tries to harm our hero, but it's of no use as his attack is once again repelled by a shield. His arm is burst open once again, and Azazel does not look in good condition. Shield mocks him and says that he really should take care of himself, but Faye intervenes and tells Azazel not to fight our hero anymore. After all, it will only end in further humiliation. The demon boy says he's fine, and his wounds will only take a week to heal. Shield is surprised to hear this because that sounds a lot more impressive than his own barrier magic, although not really. Now, Azazel asks Faye if all the humans have learned magic as strong as this, but she says it's only Shield as far she knows. Our hero is not sure if he should take this as a compliment, but then Azazel says he has figured out what his master has in mind. He believes that she will begin the war after Shield's death, which is apparently supposed to be in less than 100 years. The dragon girl is impressed by her assistant's intelligence, but Shield makes a funny face and laments the fact that Faye is eagerly waiting for him to die. If she gets his barrier magic after eating him, then there is no way that humanity will be able to win against her. Faye now tells Azazel that he should come with her and Shield to Mirai, so that he can spend 100 years there in training and leisure. However, he says that he has a few things to take care of before heading there. On that note, he snaps his fingers, and a whole bunch of bats show up. Shield is amazed by this, because it's almost as if Azazel is the evil version of Bruce Wayne. He does admit that the demon boy looks super cool and is farming more aura than him, and even Faye says that he's a smart one, so he and his bats will be useful to her. Shield can't believe this because even though Azazel is cool, he's still super scary. Faye maintains that Azazel will prove to be a useful asset to them, because his true strength is not in fighting, but rather in overwhelming force. Azazel is known to make both allies and enemies submit in fear due to his ways, which is essentially his modus operandi. Shield figures that he too will be one of the people subjected to the kind of torture Azazel likes to apply, so he makes a funny face again and laments his situation. Now, Faye says that once Azazel pledges loyalty, he never betrays, but then again, as long as our hero has his barrier, he has nothing to be afraid of. This is true, so Shield calms down, but then Faye says she's going to get the reward for ending the curse. Shield follows after her quick steps, and after some time, They reach the real royal capital of Mirai. Our hero lets us know that he's pretty tired of all this walking, and he also talks about how the people of the outer city didn't even believe what he told them about Azazel. He may not have had the receipts, but it all got worked out in the end, and now he's finally at his main destination. Shield still complains that it's a miracle they were able to get here before starving. But Faye only wants to eat more food, so she tells him to hurry with his walking. Shield is about to call Faye something that is not very gentlemanly, but then he gets distracted when he sees how amazing Mirai looks. The supermassive, so Shield can't believe that he is now going to be the master of all this land. He spots the mansion and decides to go there right now, and meets the guards. He shows them the bangle that Gabriel had given him earlier, and this is enough to make them realize that a true Giga Chad has arrived. Our hero takes this chance to announce that he is the new Lord, Shield Rayless, and he feels really good about him making such a statement. He asks Faye if he was cool right now, but she says no. Anyway, the guards bow down to him and tell him to enter the mansion as they have been waiting for Shield. Our hero wonders if a golden carriage is coming to pick him up, but Faye is not too concerned about that. They enter the mansion, and Shield can't believe what he is seeing. There are servants everywhere, and the mansion itself looks larger than life. Despite all of this, something does seem off about the place, as the maids and servants don't seem very thrilled to see Shield here. Their faces are also shown to be black, but that's not some kind of controversial statement, as it's just done for dramatic effect, so please chill. The servant tells Shield to enter a room as someone seems to be waiting for him there. Our hero and Faye are told to wait at a spot, and it definitely feels like they are not welcome here. Even the maids are looking at them with cold stares, so something is definitely up. This does not concern Faye because if anyone dares to challenge them, then she will simply eliminate them. This makes Shield a bit more relaxed, as he has the Dragon Girl to keep him safe for once. Now, Shield wonders what exactly he is waiting for, and then the doors open to reveal a very shady man. He has a couple of guards behind him, and he welcomes our hero and Faye as representatives of Helena. He has heard everything from Gabriel, but the look on his face suggests that he is not going to be listening to the orders given to him. The shady man introduces himself as Van Gogh, but not the painter. Our hero realizes something is up, because he is being called a representative of Helena country, and not the lord of this land. Van Gogh says that he has been managing Mirai ever since the time of the previous lord's demise, and he adds that he knows Shield is from common birth, thus he is not royalty. He then suggests that it would be a lot better if our hero continued living freely as before, which means he's not going to give up the throne. Faye asks Shield if she should tell Gabriel about this, but he tells her that won't be necessary, as he wishes to take the power with his own hands. Of course, that's a bit naive because he has rightfully earned it, so he should technically be telling Faye to go dragon mode and wreak havoc. He then confronts Van Gogh and tells him that he basically wants Shield to be a lord only in name, while he continues to have all the power. Van Gogh seems to be a lawyer as well because he does not explicitly state anything and only implies it. However, it's pretty clear that things are going to get messy, and Shield realizes that it may take some time for him to become the actual lord of this place. However, help comes in at the right time, as Azazel shows up with a whole troop of demons with him. Van Gogh is shocked to see so many demons showing up suddenly over here, and his face basically says that he's cooked. Now, Azazel tells Faye that he has released all of his sealed comrades, and he would like to be allowed to work under Shield for about 10 years. She says yes, so Azazel kisses her hand like a true gentleman. Of course, Van Gogh is not too happy about this, so he orders his men to go attack the demons. It doesn't take long for him to realize that he is messing with the wrong folks, as Azazel slashes through all of them within a second. It's truly Sung Jin Woo level of aura farming, as Azazel tells Van Gogh that he's in his way, as blood drips down from his hands. The other guard is basically wetting his pants right now, because there's no way he'll be able to match up against such a demonic entity. Van Gogh looks at the guard and asks him what he's waiting for, but then he notices that he has actually wet his pants, so he calls him pathetic. Now, a demon girl approaches her lord Azazel and offers to eliminate the unclean humans. Her name is revealed to be Beluga, but not the whale, so Azazel tells her to go ahead. The demon girl approaches the wet guard and she doesn't even need to hold her sword, as she is able to control it via levitation. The guard begs to be spared, but Beluga says that leaving loose ends will only make matters worse later on. She also mocks the man by saying he won't have to worry about later, because he's not even going to have a head now. With that, she slashes off the guard's head, and Van Gogh's final chance to act smart. Azazel smiles at the foolish old man, who now screams at him and says that he'll summon all his forces to get rid of the demons. Azazel tells him to shut up, and he uses his magic to completely disintegrate Van Gogh in front of our eyes, making it look easy peasy lemon squeezy. All of this is cool and all, but S.H.I.E.L.D. says that this is rule by terror. Azazel bows down to him and calls him his lord, which is a proper Uno reverse considering how he was treating him earlier. He explains that demons are very sensitive to murderous intent, which was oozing from Van Gogh and his men. Plus, those who rebel against our hero must be punished, and not in the fun way. S.H.I.E.L.D. agrees with Azazel, but even so, this may have been a bit too much. Now, Azazel asks Beluga about the other puny humans in the mansion, to which she says that she has already dealt with them, as can be seen in the blood on her sword. The demon girl seems to be a babe, and she asks her subordinates to bring the remaining humans over here. There are 5 of them, and only these folks bear no ill will towards S.H.I.E.L.D. Our hero can't believe that only 5 people favor him, but more importantly, he can't believe that the demon squad has ended everyone else in the mansion. Amongst the survivors are the 2 gate guards from before, 1 cook, 1 maid, and a strange girl who looks a bit off. This is no time to question morals, so S.H.I.E.L.D. tells these survivors that if they keep working for him, then he will double their salaries. Of course, it goes without saying that whatever happened here should stay between them only. The survivors have no issue with that at all, and they rejoice over being spared their lives. They thank their new lord, but the odd girl still doesn't show her face. S.H.I.E.L.D. takes a moment to feel good about himself, but then he notices that the girl is glaring at him intensely. She does not look like a slave, so he decides to get closer to her. The million-dollar question now is, who exactly could this girl be? Is there an imposter among us? Upon closer inspection, S.H.I.E.L.D. notices that the girl's hands are shaking, which means that she too is a prisoner here. The girl's condition is not the best in the world, and S.H.I.E.L.D. figures that she could be the daughter of the previous lord. It looks like Van Gogh imprisoned her so that she would not take over the throne, and the girl definitely looks a bit annoyed. Our hero asks for her to be untied, and he notices some odd wounds on her body. He asks if the girl is hurt anywhere else, but she simply asks to be let go. After checking more areas, S.H.I.E.L.D. sees some really nasty scars, so he wonders what happened to such a young, innocent girl. She starts crying and tells everyone not to look at her. She says that she's already been humiliated enough, and she would rather lose her life than be locked up again to suffer. Honestly, she should be thanking S.H.I.E.L.D. and calling him Oni-chan, because he has saved her from Van Gogh. Faye asks if she should handle the situation, but S.H.I.E.L.D. asks her to stop because he is lacking the necessary sensitivity to the current situation. This little girl has had a life so hopeless that even death would be a blessing to her. The world has been far too cruel to her, and a true man of culture like S.H.I.E.L.D. will not allow such things to continue. He tells the others to get some medicine for this girl so that she can be treated. She is shocked to hear this, and asks why our hero is doing this for her. S.H.I.E.L.D. simply says that anyone from Comic Guzzlers would do the same thing. The girl is confused because she thought that S.H.I.E.L.D. would either take her life or enslave her again. He says he will do no such thing, and asks if they can start over properly now. The girl now calms down and apologizes to Shield for her earlier behavior. She thanks him for his efforts and introduces herself properly as Lumi es Mirai. Shield figures that nobles are still nobles, and is relieved that Lumi is fine now. However, she says that even though our hero is not like Van Gogh, she can't let this domain fall under the hands of the demons. After all, this is the land that her father had dedicated his entire life to, and she will protect her loved ones, no matter what it takes. Now, we move to a quick flashback to when Shield was a little kid. He can be seen making a barrier for some birds to set their nest, and then an old man shows up, commenting on the strange nature of his magic. He hasn't seen anything like it so far, and then we see the barrier protecting the birds from a snake. The old man asks Shield why he wants to grow this power when there are so many cool attack skills out there. He says that it's for him to protect what's important, which echoes the sentiment that Lumi is also giving out. Back to the present, Shield tells Lumi that he's glad to see she too has something to protect, but she does not understand. Anyway, he says that he will teach her magic so that she can become strong and take this town from him. He does state that he can only teach barrier magic, which is a bit of a letdown for Lumi. She is visibly dissatisfied, but then she is taken away, and our hero hopes his only skill will come in handy to her. Now that Lumi has been dealt with, Shield turns to Azazel and asks what the next plan of action is. He says they should make good use of the legacy left behind by the previous lord, so they should check out the city's development, which has been slow. It's because of some dikes that had been built earlier to prevent flooding damages. The flood control system needs to be upgraded, but that would require a lot of financial investment. Of course, this will only lead to constant recovery issues, but Shield figures that the previous lord did not care much for the peasants. Now, someone shows up, asking if this is indeed Shield he is seeing. It's the city's manager, and his people wonder why the lord is working with demons. Of course, it is only natural to suspect someone with so many demons, but our hero tells his troops to stand back. He then explains that he did not mean to act so high and mighty, but it's hard for the others to believe this. Beluga does not like the attitude of these people, but Shield asks her to chill. He explains that he just wants to do flood control work, but the manager does not like the sound of this. If Shield succeeds, then he won't be able to collect ridiculous taxes from the citizens, which could lead to him getting fired. He quickly tries to turn it around on Shield, asking the others if they actually believe what he is saying. However, he says a bit too much, and Beluga gets annoyed, so she gives him the Ned Stark treatment. His younger brother is enraged by this, so he tries to attack Beluga, but that is a very big mistake. She activates some kind of bloodlust and asks the people to come forward if they have anything they'd like to say to her face. Even Shield comments that it is a terrifying power which he would not want to encounter at all. The aura she emits is enough to stifle the other humans. So our hero tells everyone that he does not want to rule over the town via fear. Honestly, it would be better for him to show rather than tell, so he unleashes a barrier. The villagers are shocked to see how powerful the barrier is, and Shield says that it will last for 3 years. The humans feel that it's a thin one because it's a transparent barrier, but they don't want to upset Beluga, so they keep their voices down. Shield tells them they can relax, and even try to take down the barrier if they don't believe him. This kicks off a tournament where people in the village try to see if anyone can actually break the Lord's barrier. The winner of the tournament will be decided by whoever can cause the most damage to it. The prize for doing so is a specially crafted set of equipment, complete with a barrier magic spell by Shield. On top of this, the winner will get enlisted into the regular army and will be given lots of benefits. At first, the people are not so excited because barrier magic isn't something that they consider to be special. Even when they are told that it's the same kind of barrier that was set up around Helena, they still feel that it's a fake. The announcer now tells everyone to get ready to attack the barrier as much as they want for 10 minutes. With that, the tournament begins, and even the most renowned adventurers in town are participating. There are lots of attacks, and the resulting chaos makes the crowd believe the barrier has been easily broken. However, Shield is confident in his abilities, and it's shown when the barrier is revealed to have not even a single scratch. The crowd cheers everyone on to keep up the fight, but even after multiple attacks, there are only 5 seconds left. Everyone gives it their all, but eventually time runs out, and the barrier is still as spotless as ever. The tournament may not have a winner at all, but Shield still decides to give his verdict. He senses his barrier and notices that there was some kind of impact on a particular section. He announces that the winner of the competition is the Muscle Flex Bro, contestant number 24. Everyone celebrates his victory, but then Beluga shows up and asks Shield what is the point of a tournament where no one gets hurt. He says that it is simply to understand the combat powers of the residents. Beluga will need to recruit some soldiers, so this gives her a solid opening. Shield then winks at her, stating that comrades should help each other, and he seems to have rizzed her a bit because she blushes. Shield asks what's on Beluga's mind, so she says that she had thought he was useless at first, but has changed her view. It may be an improvement, but it's still emotional damage, so Bro laments the situation. Beluga reveals she may have thought more favorably of our hero, but when he asks her to repeat it, she says to let it be. Azazel shows up now, telling Shield there are some guests at the mansion. At first, he thinks it's Gabriel, but then Azazel reveals that's not the case. He whispers something into Shield's ear, and it seems to bother him. Something clearly seems to be the problem, and our hero will have to handle it. He goes to meet this guest with Faye, who for some reason thinks that a cute, angry girl will be on the other side of the door. Much to her disappointment, though, it's Lord Gamig, who is nothing more than a bald man. Shield wants to know why he's here, but Gamig would like him to answer this question himself. Even Gamig feels someone like him does not need to come to a place like this, but he explains that he has to take Shield back with him. Bro is confused, so Gamig states that it's an order from the Knight Commander. However, Shield finds it odd that he is wanted again after being banished. The Baldy doesn't care if Helena has a barrier or not, but he has been told to bring Shield back, because the higher-ups would like another barrier. Our hero knows that the only one who can oppose the Knight Commander's order is the king, so perhaps the ruler did not have any hand in his banishment. Shield then tells Gamig that he does not care what Helena wants from him, because he does not want to go back. He also tells the Baldy that he won't hold back if he doesn't listen. Gamig finds it amusing that Shield is ready to battle him, because he too does not think too highly of our hero's barrier magic. He has been told to bring Shield back alive, so he tells him not to die here. Gamig says that Shield became a court mage by luck, and he has never gotten to see his true power. The Baldy awakens the dark side and unleashes a massive surge of energy. Our hero is blinded by the lights, but this is not good news for him. There are multiple projections of Gamig all around Shield, and even his barrier magic can't block light. The problem is that light is not attack magic, so there's nothing he can do against it. Of course, it's not just about reflection for Shield, so as Gamig tries to come at him with a lethal attack, he unleashes his barrier magic of detection. However, he is a bit late, as Gamig sneaks in from a blind spot and is about to whack him. This is not ideal for Shield, but even as he prepares to block the move, at that very moment something attacks Gamig and he is smashed against the wall. After the dust settles, Shield can finally see what's going on, and he is shocked to find the Baldy in such a sorry state. In front of him is Faye, who wants to eat some food quickly, so our hero asks if she is the one who completely destroyed a court mage with one strike. She says that watching him take down his opponent with barrier magic would have taken a lot of time, and she's hungry, so she decided to end the fight quickly. That does make sense, but we can now see that someone like Gamig was just a weakling to the Dragon Lord in a girl's body. It's pretty cool to have such a companion, but now Shield must check if Gamig is still alive. He raises his hand, so our hero is relieved that he has not been ended. The Baldy is angry, and he tells Shield not to think this is over. After all, there are many more people who are after him, and even Gamig is nothing when compared to them. To S.H.I.E.L.D., this means the top court mage Olivier could also be coming for him. Our hero is worried because even his barrier magic may not be enough against someone like Olivier. He really needs to strengthen his forces, but Faye is busy wondering if she should just gobble up Gamag. How is S.H.I.E.L.D. going to prepare for this new onslaught? Is his barrier magic up to the task? Will Faye and Azazel's forces be enough for him to hold his own? There's more to know, but sadly we will have to end the video for today. Like, share, and subscribe if you love seeing S.H.I.E.L.D. as a new hero on Comic Guzzlers. Who is your favorite babe so far? Is it Amelia, Meryl, Gabriel, Beluga, or even Faye? If you liked the story, I'll try to make more recaps on similar topics. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.